I am live. I already got some people commenting here. Super cool. Hopefully that looks okay. Does that look okay, even though you see the steering wheel? Figured it'd be an easy way for me to chat. So I just plugged in at St. George, Utah. Beautiful place. I was here last time on the way to Las Vegas, but I guess, hey, Tech 101, I guess I just didn't realize, or maybe I came in from the wrong direction, but this is a beautiful place. Really love it. Hello. Um, so I thought I'd do a live stream here while I'm charging and while I feel pretty awake and just talk about the Model Y event. And yeah, I'm driving back home now to Denver. And thanks. I sound like a robot. Awesome. So yeah, the event was pretty cool. Getting there was pretty intense. As many of you know who've been following the journey, I I made the decision sort of last minute to drive instead of well, my flight got canceled, so I had a couple of options. One of them was to drive, and that was the one that I ended up going with because it was the one that would ensure me that I would get to LA in time. I had a very generous Twitter follower say that I could use his private jet, and the only reason why I didn't take that option is because I wouldn't know for sure if I would be able to take it until the morning of the event, and if for some reason it wouldn't have worked out, I wouldn't have been able to be there in person. So I wanted to ensure that I was there in person, and took the road more difficult in that. Sorry, the sun looks like it's sort of shining on the camera. So let's see here. There we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So anyways, I decided to drive and drove. I think it took me 22 hours. 22 hours to get to LA, and it was pretty intense. This is the longest drive that I've taken in my Model S. I don't think I've ever been out of the state in my car, so that was it's been fun. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these parts that I saw while it was dark. So I've already been through Nevada. In fact, I left LA yesterday, and I stayed the night at a friend's house. Shout out to Morgan and Katie. Thanks for hosting me for the night. I got to Las Vegas late last night, about 1 a.m., stayed at their house, got a nice soft bed, and a nice shower, warm shower, and so I left Vegas around 10 a.m., and now I'm in St. George, Utah, drove through Nevada, Arizona, and on my way back. So I should get to Denver late tonight. But the event, that's what this video is about. So the event was super cool, and I'll get to everyone's questions here in just a moment. I'll just sort of add my commentary, and then I can go through. So hang tight here. The event was awesome. The event was really cool. It was a little bit slow in terms of presentation, and Elon did sort of a history of Tesla vehicles, which he's done before. So maybe that's why it wasn't terribly exciting. However, it took him like 30 minutes to get to the presentation of the Model Y, or for the Model Y to come out on stage. So it's a little bit slow moving in my opinion. I would have rather had him spend 20 minutes talking about the Model Y and why they like it, why they think it's special. A lot of people had questions, including many of you, about towing capacity, trunk storage. They didn't show any of the frunk. It would have been nice to be able to dig into some of those details, and maybe they're still ironing them out. But I thought that the colors they chose were beautiful. They had the blue, they had the white. The white one was not drivable from my understanding, so they just had it on display. Actually very similar to how they did the Roadsters when they unveiled those at the semi-truck event. They had one drivable one and one that was sort of cordoned off, that was just for looks. So They did the same thing with the Model Y. Mingled a little bit, saw a lot of fantastic people, all the people that you all probably know from YouTube. So Ben Solons, I saw Andy Sly. Shout out to Andy, got a chance to talk with him, super cool guy. Dan from What's Inside, and I saw Marquise Brownlee from afar, but didn't get to chat with him. I saw Kim from Like Tesla, didn't get to chat with her, but I did see her from afar. Alex from E for Electric. Who else did I see? Trevor from Model 3 Owners Club. Teslatino, who I think jumped on this live stream, and it was a really good event. I was exhausted by the end. I think I got my test ride around midnight. Yeah, Casey Neistat was there. I didn't see him. Yeah, of course, Gally. Yeah, hung out with him for a brief moment. So like the who's who of the Tesla community. Really great people though, and I got to meet some people who follow my channel, which is really cool. That was just interesting to be in an event like that, and then for people to recognize you and come up and say hello. When I went to the last Tesla event, the semi-truck event, my page was a lot smaller, and I don't think anyone approached me because no one knew who I was. So that was really fun to meet people in person in real life. The ride of the vehicle, so we did get test rides. They were pretty short. They were probably a couple of minutes long. As I've mentioned in my video that I posted yesterday, legroom great, headroom fantastic. I'd say headroom is probably even better than the Model 3 because the roof line doesn't need to swoop down as drastic in the back. So hatchback, it's got a power lift gate in the back, so you'll be able to raise and lower. But the third row, is virtually non-existent in my opinion. There is just not a lot of room for the third row. So I have a hard time believing. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla changed the wording for the 7-seater to something like 5+ adults. I just cannot see normal size adults, average size adults sitting back there and feeling comfortable. I think it's interesting that they're taking $2,500 pre-orders. Are they calling them that? They're not deposits, right? Or are they deposits, or they're orders? $2,500 orders. I think I think Tesla needs some money. I think it appears to be that they're in a tight situation. So doing something like this makes sense. Anything that they can do to raise some money makes sense. I think that they've got plenty of demand levers. So even though I have been concerned about some of the activities that they've been doing, some of the decisions that they've been making, especially the seemingly knee-jerk and spontaneous ones, I'm optimistic about their future plans in 2019. I think they're going to make it. I just think that Q1 really caught them by surprise. So overall, I like the Model Y a lot. My only concern is the size. We're a family of 4, and though we don't need a whole lot of space, I think if we opted not for the third row, maybe did the third row, and then just didn't use it until we needed it on the rare occasion, I think it would probably work. I certainly like the design of it. Sometimes I am hesitant about buying the Model X because of its size, and more importantly, the Falcon Wing doors. I'm really glad that the Model Y does not have the Falcon Wing doors, or do not have the Falcon Wing doors. So I'm going to go through and answer some questions here. Let me just go to the top. What did you think of the teaser pic of the pickup truck? Interesting. I just had a few moments to glance at it. It was really hard to tell. I'm assuming that it was the front of the truck that photo was of. So would be interesting to sort of see. what it looks like in the future. Third row seems clever by half. Let's see here. Third row, best not to. Yeah, third row. If you don't need it, don't get it. If you're single or you have a significant other with no kids, I think you could probably do without the third row. And if you have that third row up, there's going to be literally no storage in the back. I mean, you're not going to have very much storage. All right, what's up, Levi? Think they built any Elon time into release dates? I mean, I think it's safe to say that they're going to be later than what they're projecting. That I think consistently with every single car, they've been later than what they originally said. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a reason why it's called Elon time. Will the Model Y have a standard battery with dual motor? Not likely, especially in the very beginning. Maybe once they get production numbers up. Similar to what they did with the Model 3. Was the weather as bad in Denver as it was in Colorado Springs? I think so, although I don't really know what the weather was like in Colorado Springs. We had in maybe a 24-hour period about a foot of snow, and it was blizzard snow. So it was blowing, it was 60-mile-an-hour winds, it was pretty intense. Hey, Bossimo, thank you. The weather was fine once I got out of Denver. The highways up to the mountain resorts are maintained extremely well in Colorado. So once I got out of Denver, in fact, once I got out of my neighborhood, the major roads and highways were well maintained. I found the Model Y smaller than anticipated. It seemed less like a crossover or SUV than a larger sedan. Yeah, the Model Y, the one thing that struck me is that it sits lower than I anticipated. I thought it would sit about the same height as the Model X, which I would assume sits a little higher than the Model Y. The Model X sits a little bit higher than the Model Y, I'm assuming. I didn't see them side by side, really. But that was surprising to me. To me, I in terms of height of the car and size, it reminded me a lot of the Jaguar I-Pace. The I-Pace is, in my opinion, a crossover. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how it competes. I think it's going to sell very well, as long as they can get it to production. I think it will sell extremely well. I think it'll be top selling in its class. They did a great job with the design. I think that they did a good job not making it too complex. And a lot of the carryover was extremely nice to see, because it means it's going to be easy to produce. How much of your drive was on autopilot? No autopilot for me. Autopilot 0.0, I'm calling it. 2 hands on the wheel. Yeah, after this trip, it definitely makes me want to get a car with autopilot. Battery size is a 75 kilowatt-hour pack. Single motor. Can a regular size person fit in the third row? No, Frank, I really don't think so. I'm just thinking back to me sitting in that second row and looking back there. Leg room is going to be very, very challenging. Headroom, I think, as well, is going to be challenging. It would appear, although it was difficult to see since it was pitch black, it was difficult to see how much headroom there will actually be. I think your head will be very close to the hatchback or the liftgate glass, similar to the third row of the Model X. I'm just trying to remember what it's like sitting in the third row of the X. I think that's how they do it. I think that's how they get the headroom there, is that they put the seat far enough back that it that it fits within that back area there where the glass is at. How much is the ground clearance of the Model Y? I'm not sure about the specifics. It's a little bit higher than the Model 3, but not as high as the Model X. Somewhere in between. If it's 10% more money, why only the body is 10% more in the battery? I think probably simplicity. Maybe there may be some engineering limitations with making the vehicle bigger on that Model 3 platform. But the battery thing, I think, is purely a simplicity of production play. That's their goal. And the good news is that they're going to be sort of leveraging, drafting off of the momentum, the production momentum of the Model 3. So what they said during the last earnings call was that it should be ramped up faster, far faster than the Model 3, because it shares so many of the same components. What's trunk space like with the seats down? I'm guessing you mean the third row of seats, Stephen. I would say it's across between. It's probably in between in terms of cubic space, in between Model X and Model 3, Model 3 and Model S. So it's a hatchback. So you get instantly a lot more room because it's a hatchback. And then you have sort of a higher roof line than the Model 3. So it's not as, how do I explain it? I just think that it's not as deep. That's what I think I'm trying to say. It's not as deep as the Model 3, but you do have more height than the Model 3. So I think cubic space, it will be a little bit bigger than the Model 3, probably, because you have that height. Lots of comments that the Model Y looks very similar to 3. How does it look in person? I would say it looks, the front portion of the car, from the hood to the front fascia, it would be very easy to mistake the Y for the 3, looking at the front of it. Windshield looks very similar, but when you look at the side profile, you can tell that the back looks more Model S-ish, because of that slow sloping hatch. It's not as dramatic of a slope in the back, and even like the hips, the rear fenders of the Y resemble Model X. There's a little bit more hip on the back side of it, and that it reminds me of the Model X. Hello, eDrive. Yeah, it would have been cool to make the white one drivable. I like the blue. Didn't mind. Would I buy Model Y? I think so. My only hesitation is the storage size. The challenge is going to be, if I get rid of this car. My wife drives a Volvo, and that's sort of the family mover, which is probably the same size, similar size to the Model X. I don't know. I like it a lot, though. That's for sure. I like it. I was actually thinking today if it makes sense for me to do it. How does the all-glass ceiling look versus 3 and X? I think it's really beautiful. And if you've been in a Model S with the all-glass roof, it's basically that. It feels exactly the same. Very spacious, very roomy. Even though it wasn't what I was expecting a Model S windshield, the panoramic windshield. It still was beautiful. I think they did a great job with that, and of course, it gives you more headroom. So definitely a win there, even with the sort of low height of the vehicle. The fact that it's all glass on there, I think, is great. In fact, it's a very similar take to how Jaguar did their I-Pace. Theirs is an all glass roof too. However, I think I think the Model Y probably has more headroom than the Model than the I-Pace. Yeah, third row definitely for small kids only. Foot market analyst on news media says car underwhelms and are concerned for demand for Tesla, even though no other automaker sells an EV. How can they arrive at such conclusions? Well, I get it. I don't think it's unwarranted to be concerned, especially considering all of the knee-jerk reactions that Tesla has made in the last couple of weeks, including but not limited to saying that they're going to close down the stores and go online only, and then deciding not to, dropping the prices of all of their lineup, dropping the prices of full self-driving. I just think it creates a lot of frustration and confusion, not just with owners and potential customers, but also with employees that work at the stores. I mean, could you imagine, making a living for many years at a store, selling their cars, and like out of nowhere hearing on social media that Tesla's going to be shutting down their stores, and having to like instantly think about where your next job is going to be. In terms of sellability of Model Y, I don't think they're going to have any issues selling that car. Knowing how well the Model 3 is doing, I think the Model Y is going to do even better, just because people want something that sits a little bit higher typically, at least here in the U.S. or North America. But, I think you could extrapolate the fact that Tesla is taking $2,500 pre-orders for the car and configurations, as Tesla would like to have some extra money right this very moment. Yeah, dealer of happiness. Yeah, just like the rear-facing seat, the jump seats, and the Model S that they used to have in there. That's what it reminds me of in terms of size. Yeah, Chuck, it's definitely smaller. I mean, did you see the drag coefficient was insane? It was like 0.23, which is right in line with their other cars. It really, really impressive. I think it fits the crossover category. I think it's appropriate to say it's a crossover. Yeah, the $2,500 is fully refundable for sure. I think they need to do that because it's so far in advance. $3,200 in Canadian dollars. That's cool. You put your order down. Yeah, I skimmed through the fine print for it because I had seen some people say that it wasn't going to be refundable, but I haven't read through most of it. What's concerning, do you think, about the fine print? Does the front seat ride higher? That's a good question. I think the second row might sit a little bit higher than the first row. Was glass roof as impressive in person? Yeah, it was. I mean, as I said before, it makes the interior of the car feel very expansive and spacious. Do you think they will be able to raise some funds? Yeah, I mean, if they want to raise funds, I think there's zero issues with that. They've got sellable products. They're bringing in revenue, and it's just a matter of working out the kinks. It really appears like, especially with all of these knee-jerk changes, that Tesla is trying to do as much as possible to not raise capital and follow through with what they said, which is we expect profitability from here on out, with the exception of the quarter that we're in right now. Do you think they will be able to raise the funds? Okay, so we already did that one. Seats are on riser. Yeah, I think the second row are on risers. Would you say the Model S sits more comfortably than the Y? That's a good question. I mean, I believe that they're using the same seat material. I mean, I would say equally comfortable. Hello from Germany. Yeah, I'm not in the trunk today. That's right. So I've got about says I've got about 15 minutes left, probably 10 minutes left here, and then I'll have to get back on the road. Now that you've seen the Model Y, do you think there's a chance the Model X might go away? I don't think so. You know, they see if we can get this brighter. In my opinion, S and X are flagship. They're the best margin cars. I don't see them going away. Let me see if I can turn up the brightness here. For some reason, it got bright or dark all of a sudden. Okay, hold on just a second here. Never mind, it's not working. Okay, I lost my place here. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to the last question. Lots of questions coming in. Thank you. Man, lots of questions coming in. Where did I leave off? All right. Okay, I found it. Okay, back. Yeah, I think what I was really expecting, and I think a lot of people were hoping during the event, is that they would do one more thing and then introduce a refresh of the S and X. In fact, I almost did a video on this the night that I left, or right before I left. I was actually working on the outline. I still think they can do it, and I still think that they should refresh the S and X, increase the range, and I don't think that as it stands right now, as the battery packs for S and S, I don't think that they can take the V3 supercharging. So I am expecting a refresh. Okay. Thanks, Glenn, for the fine compliments. Why performance comes with air suspension? No air suspension as of right now, according to engineer at the event. Why is Tesla down 5%? That seems to happen after events. I'm not a financial person. It may be a better question for Ross Gerber or Gally Russell, but I think people trade on short term. They ride the wave and excitement because it was, the shares were sort of rising as it was getting closer to the event, and then I think people sold off. I did like Elon's shoes. Yeah. I've got a good feeling that Nike is going to be. I don't know how those were made, but I got a good feeling Nike's going to be selling some black and red Air Force Ones after this event, with a bit more rear overhang over the wheels. Could be made a rear third row, decent cargo space. I think the roofline slinks as a fastback more than an SUV. Yeah. Cool, Joshua. Cool to see you ordered the Model Y. AP would be nice. Yeah, I agree. What is the towing capacity? They did not say. I don't think it'll be as high as the Model X. What is the Model X? 5,000 pounds? I think the Model X is 5,000 pounds. Yeah, it is good that I don't have that 60 kilowatt battery anymore, kilowatt hour battery. Will Model Y long range price go up on Monday? I don't think so. No, I think they're too far out to toy around with pricing. Yeah, towing capacity is not defined yet. Apparently it does have a tow hitch. Eric from the channel Derek said he saw one. What's the length and width of the SUV? They have not said yet. I'm ordering a Y performance. Do you think they will get any Y out ahead of 2020? I would assume that they're going to be late, just based off of previous, just based off of their previous track record. I would not be shocked if the first deliveries of the Y are in 2021. No air suspension. Third row has no headrest. I think that's just because it was a prototype. I think it will have headrest. In fact, it would be unsafe for it to not have headrest. I would be surprised if they get ahead of schedule. Yeah, it would have been nice, Chris, if they showed the liftgate. There's a high probability that they did not add the power liftgate in there, so they weren't showing it off. They probably had to open it manually. I bet. Maybe not. Yeah, David Black. I think that they are financially stressed, but as I mentioned before, I think that they've got enough demand levers to power through this quarter, and they've got Model 3 35K. They've got several options, and my guess is going to be that many of these people that were waiting for the 35K Model 3 will spend a little bit more to get the next level up. When am I throwing out that junk motor and doing a 2JZ swap? What is that? I didn't look underneath the car, and no air suspension. Common question. Yeah, Chuck, there's not going to be a driver instrument cluster for sure. In terms of HUD, I've been in a few cars now with heads-up displays. I'm not very impressed. I think it's a little bit gimmicky. I mean, that's a personal opinion. I get it. But I think they're going to continue down this road of moving everything to a single screen. EV Latino, according to the last earnings call, this was a question that was asked on the earnings call. Elon said that they have no plans to switch SNX to 2170 cells. And directly following that comment, he said he cannot comment on future technology. So if you're sort of reading between the lines there, they're not going to use 2170 cells for S and X, but they could have some other different form factor, different battery cell size for the S and X, which would be interesting. Yeah, David Black, I get it. I totally get the concern there. Everything that they seem to be doing right this very moment is very. It indicates that they are in a tight financial situation. My guess is going to be that sales for Q1 are going to be disappointing. But here's the good news. They have said now multiple times over the last several weeks that total production numbers will still be better year over year than 2018. What's your friend's name? I will say hi to your friend if you tell me his or her name. Okay, so I've got a couple more minutes here. Let me see if I can get to some more questions. Let's see. Is there a setting to enable Model Y performance? I don't know. I don't know about that. I think it's probably too soon to say. Why would someone buy Y over 3? They want to sit higher. They want more headroom. Yeah, the Rivian Rivian SUV, it looks nice. It's a very different style. Very different style. I'm optimistic about their product. I've spent some time with them, as you probably know. Um, battery tech seems to be great. They put a lot of thought into it. I wonder how much the lack of charging network, the lack of Rivian branded charging network will impede sales. All right, so trying to scroll through here. Any idea why 7-seater long range available? I don't know. I wonder if they'll change that. Hearing people's disappointment and interest in it. Can you confirm it will get a tow hitch? It seems likely, Marco. Apparently there was a tow hitch on the prototype that they were doing test rides in. I'm not sure if the towing capacity will be as high as the Model X, since it's a smaller battery. Yeah, Tony, off-road capabilities. We'll see. They could do something like that, although I don't know if that's their style. That's probably more Rivian style. What about that truck teaser? I mean, it's an interesting glimpse to sort of stoke the rumors. Hey, Mark. Look forward to hearing more about it. Any thoughts on why they made matte black trim standard? No, I think it's interesting that they removed the chrome. A lot of people talking about that. I like the chrome. I'm not a chrome delete type of guy, but I do think it looks nice. Yeah, the back seats were folded down for pretty much everyone. Um, yeah, Sam Ward, more solar stuff. Yeah, they've sort of reiterated that several times, which is good to hear. I know a lot of people are looking for solar roof. Um, do you feel the speed bump on existing V2? I don't believe the software has enabled that yet. I've been seeing consistently 95 kilowatt speeds right when I plug in, but I think that's because at each supercharger I'm within 10 to 20% of empty. Howard, what am I using for my camera and mic? Well, right now I'm using just my phone. But for like the video that I did yesterday, I have a Canon 80D, and then I just bought a Sennheiser lav mic. If I realized after I uploaded that I forgot to plug in the receiver for the wireless mic. So that's why it sounds a little bit tinny and echoey in that last video. Did I see a horizontal seam in the glass? Single pane of glass. Single pane of glass for sure. All right. I mean, like the FUD. I'm just reading some comments about the FUD. People are going to do that. It's a catchy company. I just think people are going to. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately around like the last two books that I read were around Henry Ford and Thomas Edison. Same exact thing happened to them. So many critics, so many people spreading rumors, and it's just a part. Like when you're innovating, it's normal. I think until Tesla gets to like Amazon point, I just think people are gonna hate, and people are gonna criticize, but that's just because they've never done this before, and they're Tesla's doing some things that no one has ever done. Is it possible that they would go bankrupt? Absolutely, but I see everyone who buys their cars for the most part absolutely loves them, and they're doing things that no one else is doing. I think they've got a serious leg up on other competitors. I did not have did I have to duck my head? Not uncomfortably. I mean, if I did, it was sort of a natural entry into the second row. Do you think a larger, more truck-like SUV might be made? Um, maybe off of the truck platform. That'd be interesting. Maybe off of the Tesla truck platform. Something a little bit bigger of an SUV, less aerodynamic. Okay. Does Model Y support roof rack? They didn't say, but taking cues from Model 3, likely. Do you think Model Y is too low to the ground? I mean, it sits higher than the 3. So take that for what it's worth. Okay, I'm just trying to scroll through really fast here. Do you think Model Y will have partial premium? Probably. I guess it depends on where they're at financially. I think the plus and the partial premium stuff is totally a money grab to try and pull in extra profit. Yeah, Chris, tow hitch probably is likely going to happen. Can you tow? They didn't say specifically, but likely. What do you think of the chrome delete? Though it's not my style, I like it. I think it looks clean. I saw my second Model 3 in Arvada, Colorado yesterday. Cool. Kevin, do you live in the Denver area? That's where I live. Estimate for production numbers? Oh, for orders. I'd totally be taking a shot in the dark here for orders. By the end of the so the Model 3, they did it a little bit different. If you remember, they opened up pre-orders at stores the day of the presentation, and the presentation was later that night. So they had a better ramp up for numbers, and then by the end of that night, I think that they had like something like 115,000 pre-orders by the end of the presentation. So let's see. This is almost the end of March. I would say on their earnings call in April, I'm going to say 200,000. Cool, Kevin. All right, I'm at the end here. Am I subscribed to PewDiePie? No, he's not really my style. Not really my style of YouTuber. All right, so last question here. Pickup tees. Do you think that's the front or the rear? That's a good question. It's hard to tell. Probably the front, since it had the T on it. If it didn't have a T on it, it sort of would have looked like a pickup truck bed that's just covered. All right, so got to get going here. I want to make it home before sunrise the next following day. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you found it valuable, and appreciate everyone's time and attention. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for following the journey.